Right, I'm not being funny, mate, but I've spent 1.3 million pesos on today, and I can't even see anything because I'm under this stupid tifo. What, so you spent £4.50? That's not the point, Esteban, alright? I've not been able to see for 30 years, and I still enjoy myself. Juan, you're facing the wrong way, mate. Alright, look, listen, I've got a plan. Get me the scissors. Ah, that's what we love to see. A real view of my club in the ground. And we've conceded. Flipping neck. Yo guys, it is your boy Niran here, and you are watching FTW. This is of course the series where I bring to you the best and more frequently the worst of what football has to offer during the last 7 days. What's been kicking off in the world this week? Well, there were clashes in London as pro-Britain members fought against the police on Remembrance Weekend because, well, they haven't had a scrap in over 72 hours. We don't like the foreigners. Well, same. Stop fucking taking their side. The EDL were unfortunately unable to confirm how many arrests there were because they can't actually count to 90, and these clashes led to high-ranking government changes in the UK. David Cameron is back to tell more porkies and shag them too, but I don't understand why their Twitter page was announcing it like they've signed 4-year contract extensions. Fabrizio Romano, this is a copyright issue, my friend.
I'm gonna tweet now, here we go.
Now, speaking of the football, and there's been another Premier League classic this week. Oh, yeah! Chelsea purely existing right now is box office, and they played out another thriller with a 4-4 draw v Man City. Their admin posted they've had quieter days after the Tottenham match, and then quieter weeks after the Man City one as well. It started with a controversial Erling Haaland penalty. Was he fouling Mark Cucurella as well? Honestly, at this point, Anthony Taylor, mate, we need to relegate him again. Todd Bowley's paid everybody but the referees. Here we have VAR officials realising Man City can win the league again if they just keep giving them more favourable decisions. With a quick-fire Chelsea double helped by questionable Joško Gvardiol defending.
We have been hoodwinked.
Saw the Blues in front. Pep was not pleased seeing Raheem Sterling score against his former club.
I'm a shape of myself.
And Raheem and Reece James combined here for the goal, and that combination is a shock with their usual link-up play.
Sterling, pass it back. He's there. He's on side. Pass it to him. Sterling, he's on side. Pass it to him. Don't dive. Fucking idiot!
Speaking of Reece James, and he had Jeremy Doku in his pocket all match.
I thought this was a matchup.
Mismatch! But he couldn't stop Erling Haaland scoring with his own balls. He said he was happy to have scored with them for the first time in his career. Meanwhile, at the other end of the pitch, and Man City was starting to realise that Nicholas Jackson might be a problem after all. You just can't give Jackson 28 chances. He will score one of them. Rodri thought he'd won it for City. It's becoming clear to me Pep Guardiola has only one tactic when they need a late goal. Fuck it, go get the lanky DM. But a 95th minute penalty saw former Man City graduate Cole Palmer use a composure of 99 to equalise for Chelsea in the dying embers. Blues fans were loving it, and so was Mateo Kovacic celebrating after the ball hit the net. Honestly, this Palmer-Kovacic swap deal it's not looking good for Man City.
The worst trade deal ever made.
After the goal, and Man City needed a backup plan to get them back in front. Cole Palmer was hoping they'd forgotten he'd actually left Man City in the summer. Bernardo Silva could see through the plan as he approached the huddle.
Do you mind, we're just having a conversation?
Sorry.
Just mind your manners, no. That's all right, no problem.
Jack Grealish was confused seeing him in attendance, but then again, he always is. Meanwhile, Erling Haaland was trying to give his most passionate team talk yet.
Bit shit, but that's all it is.
The funny thing is, Erling actually loves this. I love the shithousery from goal here. Chelsea centre-back Axel Disasi was quoted as saying they're not scared of anyone in the league. You've shipped 4 in your defence, but you're not scared. You sound terrified, mate. Meanwhile, at full-time, Mauricio Pochettino refused to shake Pep Guardiola's hands. The Spaniard was unfortunately left waiting down by the touchline. And it's no surprise Man City conceded 4 here. One of their best centre-backs is clearly distracted, as Ruben Diaz is apparently dating an ex-Love Islander. That's what it was. See, Cole Palmer was just entering the huddle to ask for a number. Hey, listen, has she at least got any mates or something? I swear down, I'm not trying. But we heard that Ruben Diaz couldn't handle his drink after the Man City treble celebrations. He's going to be in trouble 2 cocktails down in Soho. Now, things are at risk of falling apart for another title challenger in Spurs.
That is outrageous. It's so disrespectful to the establishment.
We went from 1-0 up to 2-1 down thanks to 2 injury time goals from Wolves.
You guys never win anything, right? No.
Now, they were missing a lot of players here through injury and, of course, suspension after the Chelsea game, and that showed. Eric Dyer's highlights were taking him back to the bad old days. days. Tottenham's coaches were struggling to name a starting 11 with all the injuries they've got right now. The defensive line might have been high at Chelsea, but the defensive line is outside the job centre after their game against Wolves. Can't imagine any of them are getting a job at Domino's anytime soon, though. After they tweeted they've got a new item on their menu, a Tottenham crumble. Yeah, it's a shithousery award again for Domino's. And was, of course, devastated at full time.
Nice.
But honestly, I reckon he's just letting someone else win Manager of the Month. What a wholesome, giving man. In the other dugout, and Gary O'Neill had a game-changing team talk with 10 to go. Lads, it's Tottenham. Meanwhile, it's going to be a tough trip home for Tottenham fans, getting a TFL home, realising they've calamitied another chance at a trophy.
Good morning and welcome to the Central Line. Just let you all know that Tottenham are shit.
United got the better of Luton, though only slightly with a 1-0 victory. To be fair, not a terrible result, with United's medical centre looking like main stage at Glastonbury. You need a season ticket just to get in the physio room. Andre Onana knew that Luton weren't going to have a shot on target in this one. He didn't need to concentrate on the game. Meanwhile, Luton's shot stopper had the same epiphany, realising Anthony was on the ball.
You're always at the football, you're never home with me.
For fuck's sake. Former United youngster Ted Mengi made the honest mistake of going to the wrong dressing room before kickoff, but there were all manner of distractions for United and for Marcus Rashford, whose brother was arrested during the week. Probably charged with attempted car parking, knowing his brother. You know what it is? I've worked it out. He's going jail, so Marcus can go into the prison to give an inspirational talk to youngsters who need help getting out of the legal system. This is 4D chess. To be fair, this is the Marcus that's been playing for United all season. And Rasmus Højlund's having a similar problem in the Prem. He's a very different beast in the Champions League versus a team with Brenda, 57, having a kick about in a back garden. This guy's 009 right now in the Prem. That's a totally different operative. Christopher Nkunku has the same record and he's not got a knee to speak of right now. To be fair to Rasmus, he is actually playing pretty well. I don't know how he's not got a goal yet. And as for his record in the Champions League, he can feel very upset that all of his goals are still amounting to United being bottom of the group. Liverpool beat Brentford 3-0 in the Prem thanks to a brace from Mohamed Salah and a goal from Diogo Jota. Darwin Núñez could have had a brace, but for a double offside. I'm starting to see who his attacking inspiration is at this point.
I'm ass, bro.
Meanwhile, Mo was frustrated seeing another assist attempt go to waste. And for this one, yeah, our bench had about 3 weeks of football experience between it. Imagine being the assistant manager, seeing them all sat by the sidelines.
16 at a push 17, 16.
Meanwhile, in brilliant news elsewhere at Liverpool, and Luis Diaz has finally been reunited with his father. And if you don't know about this story, his dad was kidnapped back in his native Colombia, along with his mum, who was released far earlier during this story. A guerrilla organization were involved in it, and thankfully they have released him with no harm. It's actually mental that this has happened before with John Obi Mikel's parents at Chelsea. Now, Roman Abramovich at the time said he was willing to send Russians over to deal with the situation. And I love that, you know, to be fair, the then Chelsea owner was there for one of his players. But imagine FSG trying to put together the funds for that.
How much is this?
149, sir.
I've got 50p. Fuck you, bastard.
Sending over a random family friend from Illinois to try and intimidate the Colombian mob.
You don't know where I'm from, dog.
Meanwhile, Roman Abramovich had some dramatic words after capturing the villain at hand and freeing John Obi Mikel's parents.
We have caught and compromised to a permanent end Osama bin Laden.
Seems a bit dramatic, really, lads, I'm not gonna lie. We're only criminals from Nigeria. We're not. Over at Arsenal, and there is the revelation that Aaron Ramsdale cannot concentrate on a full 90 minutes.
To concentrate on a game of football for 90 minutes, I'm finished, I can't do it. So that's why I get involved with the fans, and I'll sing along with the songs, and someone's giving me abuse, I'll turn around and I'll give them a bit back. Yeah.
Ian Wright's reaction to this piece of information has got me creasing. He simply can't believe what he's hearing. Poor Aaron, man, he's devastated when he realises there's no Subway surfers at the bottom of the Premier League highlights each week. Imagine when he gets into the dressing room at half-time and realises he's forgotten his Nintendo DS. Lionel Messi ADHDing all over the gaff. As a man that can't concentrate on anything for longer than 6 minutes, I do understand his pain, but this totally makes sense. This man brought out the Sergio Busquets scan to speak to a pigeon before conceding against Southampton.
It's a dogfight out there.
Imagine Mikel Arteta looking for him in between the sticks, then realising he's jumped into the crowd 20 minutes in because he's bored.
What are you doing?
Me?
Just hanging around.
Now, of course, Aaron Ramsdale has been dropped in favour of David Raya, who's just come in from Brentford this season, and Aaron's dad is not too pleased about it, saying that the smile is gone from his son's face and that he's realised he's only going to be used as a cup goalkeeper. Honestly, things are going to be tense between Mikel and his dad at Arsenal's parents' evening. Now, in more serious news, at the Emirates Stadium, there was footage of a racially motivated verbal attack from 4 Arsenal fans on a separate Gunners supporter during the last 7 days. Now, thankfully, again, this was filmed. Basically, they insinuated that he was a terrorist because of his ethnicity, which is absolutely unacceptable. There's no way you should be going to a game and genuinely feeling unsafe because of the way you look or because of your ethnic background. Either way, thankfully, people have been able to actually bait out the names of these individuals. Hopefully, this has now been passed on to the police and they can be banned from the club. Kieran Trippier got into a little bit of a scuffle with a Newcastle fan this week after their 2-0 defeat to Bournemouth. Now, again, like a few other teams in this league, they've got a pretty massive injury list, but obviously still a very disappointing result after Newcastle fans had travelled so far for the game. Mixed feelings on this one because they're both probably right in a sense, but not the best way to go about it from either one. Obviously, yep, ideally you don't want to lose to Bournemouth, who look like they could easily go down, even though there's 3 teams worse than them, but just by association they should probably get relegated anyway. Trippier's right in what he's saying. They do have a lot of injuries, but at the same time you don't want to get in a confrontation with one of your own fans. They paid a lot of money to go there. Honestly, Newcastle fans, you still look good. Once you got most of your players back, I'm sure you'll be fine. Another team doing very well trying to break into the conventional Big Six is Aston Villa, but despite having scored the most goals of any team in the Premier League this season, it's actually their fans who are the most interesting thing right now. Who the fuck is going to a game in that? Manchester United welcomed Dong Fangzhou, a Chinese footballer who played for them in the mid-thousands, back to Old Trafford for the first time with the tweet, "Welcome back, Dong." Like me, seeing my Johnson after a dry spell. And speaking of dry spells, the international break has now unfortunately arrived.
What the fuck, y'all? God!
But it's an exciting one for one young star boy, until he got absolutely bodied by Arsenal centre-back Gabriel. Endrick has been called up for the Brazil squad aged 17, an incredible achievement for a truly special young player. The pictures of him on international duty as well look like I've gone back in time. Just looks like Pele, mate. For real, put this kid on the gravel pitches of the 60s and he's scoring 9. He is one pair of short shorts and football boots made out of a car seat away from being Pele. He was quoted as saying that he doesn't enjoy going out partying and drinking or doing anything that's going to put his image into a bad light. To be fair, lad, you are 17. He's actually been put off after not being accepted into Pop World with a fake ID. This all going to change soon, mate. Joe Linton will be showing him the Geordie drinking habit soon enough.
Who's eating water like that, bro?
One international powerhouse is US women's national team forward Megan Rapinoe, but her career ended in devastating fashion just 3 minutes into her final game through injury.
10, 9.
She had a very different tune playing when she left the stadium afterwards. Nah, for real, it is pretty sad, really. You know, if there's a lot of hype going into your final game of your entire career, you know, put on by other people, but also by herself, going out after 3 minutes with an injury is pretty much the worst way it can end. Obviously, she's a very divisive character, and I do like what she does in terms of bringing attention to the women's game and the issues there. She doesn't really do it in the best way a lot of the time. She was quoted as saying that she's not a religious person, but this is evidence that God doesn't exist. Yeah, this is the reason, actually, God doesn't. Imagine God deciding one day to do this. Thine art benevolent, what shalt thou do, O holy God above me? Yeah, to be honest, mate, I've got an on Gotham FC, to be honest, to win an MLS game. So now over in France, and PSG star Kylian Mbappe grabbed himself a hat-trick in Liga this week, but his manager Luis Enrique was still not happy, saying that, you know, it was a good job that he got himself a hat-trick, but saying that he wasn't too impressed by Kylian because he can still do more for the team. I'm guessing questioning his work ethic. Very brave, to be honest, of Luis Enrique to speak about his boss like that. He's gonna be calling Kylian into the office and realizing that actually that's not how this goes. Right, yeah, is that Kylian outside? Yeah, let him upstairs, bring him in. He said that he's actually going to bring you in. How can he see me? I'm the manager. That's not the way this goes. So, you wanted to see me, Kylian? Yeah. you're done. Kylian's gonna be sending debt collection to his house at this rate. Imagine scoring a hat-trick, winning your side a game, and then your manager tells you you're not working hard enough. Yeah, truly, thinking about it's unforgivable, really, isn't it? Kylian's gonna need to be escorted out of the stadium away from the fans when they realise he's only completed 11 high-intensity sprints during the game. Luis Enrique fuming when his star striker scores a hat-trick but hasn't tracked back in 6 minutes.
You want to have a look at your fucking self, some of you in the fucking mirror, because there's some of you lot that could have done fucking better and we should have been up there.
Now, at the other end of the league on table, and Lyon finally won their first game of the season. It was a 1-0 victory, but for them, hopefully it will spark some sort of resurgence, even though they were so cut adrift at the bottom of the table. Though tempers were flaring at half-time against Rennes as their managers clashed in the tunnel. Meanwhile, there's once again mental stuff happening in the Coupe de France. As an island out in Oceania, Tahitian champions AS Pirae have flown all the way to Paris for a Coupe de France game. They look pleased to be there on the mainland, but realistically, you've got to hope that they get a win in the capital. A 30,000-kilometre round trip only to go out of the competition seems a little bit harsh. Now, over in Spain, and it's a story of more minnows, as Girona are still top of La Liga. Lads, I don't mean to jinx this, alright? But they're actually going to do it. Girona have got some big talk, some big words for the big boys in Spanish football.
Who do you think you are?
Aleix Garcia is a totally different man on FC24 in comparison to what he is in real life. Meanwhile, Florentino Perez is realising there's another club that he needs to add to the European Super League. Now, this is genuinely nuts. I know Girona are owned by the same people Man City are, but it's not like they're getting a crazy amount of funding because of that. They're just within the same umbrella group. The City group are winning the Prem and La Liga. Pep's top of 2 tables at the same time. The guy's a genius. Meanwhile, at Real Madrid, an Arda Güler is once again injured.
Oh, I'm not having this. I'm not having this.
No. Look, I'm not being funny, lads. He's only been at the club since, August? The guy's been out injured 3 times. The poor kid's arrived for a rondo and done his groin immediately. They've signed an Eden Hazard regen, a version of Eden that makes the donas instead of eating them. Meanwhile, shout out to Atzeneta, a team in the 5th tier of Spanish football, who against all odds knocked out Real Zaragoza 2-1 in the Copa del Rey. A massive, massive upset and a sensational job from them. Over in Italy, and there's a revelation that Victor Osimhen said no to a Saudi Arabian move during the course of the summer, suggesting that it was very tempting to go over there because it was life-changing money. We've got live scenes of the Saudi Arabian government trying to get him to move over there.
You want a job? Come to me. Wallahi, I'll get you a job.
But Victor might be a little bit more open to the move when he realizes there's no coconuts in Saudi Arabia for his club to compare him to. Meanwhile, their TikTok admin is reveling, finding out he's got some incriminating information on Victor about him maybe wanting to leave the club. One other thing that might have convinced him to stay at the club, though, is Rudy Garcia has now been sacked. Cristiano Ronaldo will be happy seeing his ex-Al Nassr coach fired here too. Former Italian league legend Rodrigo Palacio has swapped football boots for playing Serie D basketball in Italy. Fair enough to him, age 41, but an interesting sport choice for a man who's 176 centimeters tall. Meanwhile, Serie C side Pescia's manager Zdenek Zeman is also a man of many talents. In Germany now, and Harry Kane scored yet more goals this week in the Bundesliga in a 4-2 win of Bayern over Heidenheim. Robert Lewandowski's legacy's just been done out already, straight off the bat. If we're being honest, we all knew that Harry Kane was going to pump teams like Heidenheim over there.
First half, a little bit disappointing.
Be honest.
I am being honest.
No.
He's going to have a bit of a difficult job trying to convert these goals into a Premier League goal-scoring record. Harry's Bayern teammate Leroy Sané is acting up somewhat. A bit of a suspect shirt in a room full of dons, but that's okay, Machi. I love that for you, bro. Leroy, I'm on the overlap, mate. Leroy, I'm making the move. Please, stop getting distracted. Why is she even on the pitch? Bayern beat Galatasaray in the Champions League, and one Turkish fan has not taken the beating too well. Meanwhile, at Union Berlin, and they are in shambolic form at the moment. They've been poor in the Champions League and without a win in ages in the Bundesliga, and that has led to the end of Urs Fischer being at the club. But what a journey he's been on, getting them promoted to the Bundesliga and into the Champions League for the first time in their history. I'm sure he'll still go down as a legend. Now that it's time for your goals of the week, some screamers here. I'm treating you. I've actually got 4 goals this time, starting with Federico Di Marco at Inter. People suggesting this wasn't on purpose because he smacked it from distance out on the left wing and looped it over the keeper. But honestly, I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. I think he might have actually meant that one. One man that definitely meant it from distance, though, John Joe Shelby, who might be a Çaykur Rizespor hero already over in Turkey with this goal from the halfway line. Very different stuff going on elsewhere in Turkey, as at Trabzonspor take a bow Paul Onuachu for this acrobatic finish on loan from Southampton. I saw this man unable to complete a step over a year ago, and now he's doing this. What's changed? But finally, in a similar vein, more acrobatics. This attacker is forward from Chelsea Rovers down in English Sunday League, as a ball is swung in, and I don't even know the technique. Behind his back, he swings a left foot at it to acrobatically backheel it into the top corner. I've never seen a goal like this. It's like a sideways scorpion kick. If I scored that goal, I would never stop telling everybody about it. Neymar's one man that brought a lot of skills to the beautiful game we'd never seen before, and he's also brought a new trim now as well. Amazing. Good. Right, well, he knows he's got 7 months off. He knows no one's seeing him on TV, so his Windows restarted his hairline. Look, listen, you can't fool me. That is crafty, mate.
I thought you fucker, but you clever fucker.
Hello all, and welcome to The Beautiful Game, the segment where we take a look at the poetic and brilliant side of the game that we love. We are back by popular demand for yet more glorious beauty. And that concludes The Beautiful Game. Now, over in Brazil and at Corinthians, shout out their goalkeeper, Cassio, who's witnessing the opponents at 1-1, setting up a free kick in front of him. The ball gets swung into the centre, and weirdly, he jumps out of the way of the ball for it to end up in the back of the net.
This is corruption. This is a theft.
But all is not what it seems. This is 1000 IQ play from the Brazilian shot stopper, because it turns out it was an indirect free kick, which he knew about. So once the ball was swung into the box, didn't connect with anyone, and went straight in, it was actually technically a goal kick. Not quite as impressive, though, from his outfield teammates here against Grêmio.
I don't know if we will see another player do the things that he does.
All from the club's chief director, who ran into the VAR room to scrap people about poor decisions that were going on in the most recent league match. The reality is, though, he's going to see the action on the screen and come to his senses. Yep, you know what? That was just shit. All right, false alarm, everyone. Staying on the Brazilian theme, and over at the Under-17s World Cup, Brazil dismantled and manhandled New Caledonia from Oceania. Now, it was 9-0, the result here. Bit of a slapping, but you'd expect that given the two nations involved. What you wouldn't expect is the fact they had 81 shots in the game. That's actually a shocking return rate. They probably celebrated those goals, though, better than this Mali forward, whose knee slide needs a little bit of work. San Marino's admin couldn't get the day off in order to live tweet their next friendly. Well, that was until he hit a light goal, at which point his boss seemingly let him get the day off. Over in Saudi Arabia, and Frank Kessié is getting used to life outside of Europe. Don't think that's quite an excuse, though, for using his hands to try and dribble past an opponent. Yeah, the rules aren't that different over there, mate. He's going to be left trying those abstract tactics again when he sees Sadio Mane bearing down on him. Now, over in Uruguay, I'm sure there'll be a calm, reasonable and normal game between rivals Peñarol and Nacional.
What's wrong with y'all niggas? What's wrong with you?
Yeah, good. Yeah, just only half an hour in. Yet these lot were down to 9 men apiece after a shocking challenge and an immediate brawl that broke out. In Australia, and Western Sydney Wanderers almost broke into civil war as a strike comes in only to be blocked by one of his teammates on the line. Thankfully, it did still go over the line and it stood. I'm not entirely sure the backstory of this next clip, but over in Malaysia, there must be some sort of protest going on, because immediately after kicking off, these lot have decided to sit down and wait for their opponents to score. Not that the goalkeeper got the memo about that one. Some players in South America have got to go on strike after this referee obstructing the play, so he immediately got what was coming to him. Back in Brazil, and fans at Cruzeiro decided clearly that the football was too boring, and instead that they'd run onto the pitch and start scrapping each other instead. Brazilian football is actually different. Why are you even still showing that as if it's a UFC event? And speaking of which, who needs the football up in Scotland when you can just produce a judo slam? Meanwhile, up in Scandinavia, there's been some incredible final days. First of all, in Sweden, where first-placed Elfsborg going into the final day faced up against second-placed Malmo in an all-or-nothing winner-takes-all title title race decider. A draw would have been enough for Elfsborg to win, but after a controversial penalty and a stoppage for flares, Malmo took home a 1-0 victory to win the title on the final day. Down in the Swedish 3rd division, and there was crazy stuff at the end of the season there too, as a whole host of teams could have gone down on the final day. A stupendously close table, with teams playing against each other mostly, resulted in the maddest relegation battle of all time. Now, over in Indonesia, they're closer to home and down in the Championship at Leeds. Fair to say it's not a good idea to wear chinos to the game. One Sky Sports fan was lucky enough to meet one of these star pundits this week. Delighted to meet Jamie Carragher. It's he who's going to break the news. Meanwhile, Brighton striker Evan Ferguson was interviewed and asked why he didn't want to represent England. Probably because he's from Ireland.
That's never going to happen now. That's not a question.
It was late carnage in the Portuguese league between Benfica and Sporting, as Benfica came from 1-0 down in injury time to win 2-1. Nicolas Otamendi celebrated with a delirious fan. In Japan and in the J3 league, one captain was tricked by the rest of his teammates into being the only one to celebrate lifting a trophy. And speaking of Japanese violence, I don't think it gets any more mad than this succession of challenges.
Wonderful, wonderful.
Over in Slovakia, and this striker is probably going to get a kicking from his teammates after bursting through in on goal with nobody around him. Young Africans won 5-1 this week and commemorated that victory by buying a billboard in the area of the team they'd just beaten. It's a shithousery award. What's the best way to avoid conceding from a free kick, I hear you ask? Get 2 random dons from the crowd, add them to your 11 players and stick them all on the line. Don't know how this has been allowed, ladies and gentlemen. Over in America, and this Phoenix penalty taker's not going to want to look back at this Penenka ever again. The self-proclaimed worst team in the world, Ibis over in Brazil, are back to losing ways, being defeated 10-1 by local rivals Vitória. In Saudi Arabia and at Al Ittihad, this goal scorer had us in the first half, I'm not gonna lie. Meanwhile, over at Grasshopper Zurich, and some work probably needs to be done on this tifo. Now that it's time for Still 0-0, you guys know the score by now. This is a segment of the show where I bring to the best of Sunday League and amateur football, and we're heading all the way over to Croatia. Shout out the Balkans for consistently giving us great footballing content, and this I think is going to sum up the goalkeeping standards in Sunday League and the attacking ones. As a ball is played through, the keeper is not getting anywhere near it to stop it crossing over the line, and surely all this striker's got to do is tap it into an empty net. Yeah, you've both got to retire. Everybody involved, even the fans. On to the weird stuff though now. I talked about Nordic final days earlier on in the episode, but none were more dramatic than the Norwegian 2nd Division promotion race, where Lyn needed an absolutely meteoric victory to go up on goal difference, and almost did it by scoring 10 goals, as their rivals also thrashed opponents elsewhere across the country. If they'd won 10-0, they would have been promoted, but in the end, one solitary consolation goal from their opponent was enough to stop them going up automatically in probably the closest promotion battle you'll see all season. In Nigeria, a player by the name of Chibuike Nwaiwun apparently went missing in his native country, sparking a search party from the club that he plays for. Naturally, if your player doesn't turn up for training for a long time, questions are gonna start getting asked. Well, he has magically reappeared after going missing, playing for a club in Israel. We do end, unfortunately, on some tragic news, and that comes from Albania, where unfortunately a young footballer by the name of Rafael Doamena suffered from a cardiac arrest whilst playing for his club. He was rushed to hospital, but unfortunately passed away. My condolences can only go out to his teammates, his coaching staff, but of course his family and friends as well in what can only be a difficult time. A tragic day for the sport, and hopefully something that we don't see replicated anytime soon. That though is going to wrap up football this week, and I hope you have enjoyed it. If you have, then feel free to slap a like on the video, and of course subscribe if you are new to the channel. You can also follow me on social media. It is at @theofficialfng on Twitter and on Insta. It's been a pleasure ranting at you guys today. Have a wonderful day, enjoy yourselves, and goodbye.